What happened to all that milk, man?
What's up, YouTube? It's the AFC and NFC Championship Weekend picks against the spread video for the 2019-2020 NFL season. Fat guy, let's start off with the leaderboard picks against the spread for the NFL playoffs. We have 7 players with 5 wins. Bobby H, Sir Mix-a-Lot, Knickerbockers, Buffalo Wild Wings, Ashley Schaefer's BMWs, Laser Jets, as well as Glock Lesnar. Your thoughts on the picks against the spread for the playoffs so far?
5-2-1 is a good record. Of course, it's over 8-game sample. Tough to extrapolate that over an entire season, but so far so good. Been a tough one. Been a tough playoffs, I would say. Johnny's in 8th. Hobbled Goblin versus Fat Guy. We got it. There's a contest. As well as the legendary Dylan Toddfield at 4-3. There's more people at 4-3, but I mean, the list is the list. This is the top 10.
Let's take a look at the overall leaderboard where pick last Jake Jacobs still on top. 147 wins, 264 games, good for 56.5%. We also have East Steelers, ourselves, Detroit one time. Dylan and Mickey. Dylan taking a 1-game lead over Mickey with 3 games left.
Ooh.
Satuple, Captain Save-A-Ho, T-shirt time still with the very impressive 57.5 win percent, as well as fellow YouTuber Half Moon's picks. Fat guy, your thoughts?
Like I said, decent year for pick last. We're happy to be over the juice. We're happy to be over 53%. Been a good year so far. Wish the playoffs went a little bit better, but it's getting tough down here. Getting tough. We're in the muck a little bit, but I'm hoping this weekend we can turn around. Maybe a 2-0, maybe. I'm
liking it. I'm liking these lines this weekend.
So am I.
So for the year 139, 121 and 4, good for 53.5%. A grand total 336, 297 and 19, good for 53.7%. This year in the playoffs, I believe we are 3-4-1. Unfortunately, with that draw,
It looks kind of ugly. 297 losses. Yeah, we're still on the right side. Still on the right side of things. So I will take it. That is a decent number, and I do soapbox and give us a little bit of leeway. We do not get the best lines having to do these on generally a Monday or a Sunday night even for some of these past years. So it's sometimes we get the benefit early, but I think we get the lack of benefit of having difficult lines to take going forward. So I'm happy with that 53.7.
Time for the JS715 name of the week honorable mentions. Fat guy, I'll let you roll through these.
Country Roads, Take Mahomes featuring Deshaun of the Dead. I was baked when I made this name. That makes sense. The Sea Ducks cap the Cheeseheads. Unfortunately, that is wrong. Lamb and Pam. Take that as you will. The clapper ain't clapping anymore. That's absolutely true. Got Milk, a popular marketing ploy by the dairy farmers of, I guess, America and Canada. I mean, but there is someone who does have milk. We'll get to that a little bit later. You're a 10, I see. Oh, I see what you did there. And on to the winner, Big Rye.
On to the winner, JS715. Name of the week is?
Mammy's Dumplings. Now, we're a sucker for Eastbound and Down. I mean, I didn't love the series, but when you cherry pick the really good parts, it's quite
pretty good.
Funny. And that was my favorite scene in all of Eastbound and Down. So, I mean, we're just playing to our sensibilities. I feel like this user does this every week, and we seem to get it. He may or may not have been Ashley Schaefer's BMW as well. But Mammy's Dumplings definitely wins for me. That is my favorite scene in Eastbound and Down.
And remember, you can compete in the AFC and NFC Championship Weekend. Go to BigRyanTheFatGuy.com. If you're too lazy, jump down to the description. There will be a link where you can make your picks.
Now, I wanted to do a little bit of a recap. We're not going to do a slide. We're not going to embarrass him. For those Dylan Toddfield fans, he did make good on his promise. There is a milk video. It will be listed in the description. There's a link. It won't be listed in the Big Ryan the Fat Guy channel, but it will be in the description for those of you who want to watch it. Dylan did make good on his promise. He seems to want to gamble a little bit more. I just don't know what he has to offer now, considering he has no eyebrows, no armpit hair, and no delicates.
Yeah, Dylan's running out of things to gamble. But he's always game. Join us in the live stream. We're going to be live for both playoff games, AFC and NFC Championship. We're going to be starting at noon Pacific time, 3 Eastern time. So feel free to stop by, join us. Dylan will probably be in the chat. You can tell him how much you enjoyed the video. All right, Fat Guy, on to the picks. We're going to start off with Tennessee at Kansas City. They play at, it says 12 o'clock Eastern time there, but that's wrong. It's 12 o'clock Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time. The Titans travel to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs are 7.5-point favorites. 63% of early bettors are on the Chiefs. Fat Guy, who you got?
It's clear cut. Tennessee Titans. Now, the majority of the money at this point in time is on the Titans. Slight edge per capita on the Titans. That makes sense. Now, I was kind of worried because you and I kind of enjoyed the secret of the Tennessee Titans, a team that's able to keep seemingly any game close. Not that they couldn't get blown out, but I feel like the median for them is really they're 6 points over the worst team and 6 points worse than the best team. Somewhere in that range. Just that style seems to keep it close. And they're tough to keep down when they get a lead. Titans get a lead, you're in trouble. That being said, they're against the quick-scoring Kansas City Chiefs. So the thing I do like is the Chiefs came back from a 24-point first-quarter deficit to put on a just powering display of 51 points. KC looked very public appetizing, let's call it.
Very public appetizing.
The public loves high scoring. They don't really, defense doesn't really do it for them. They'll use the moniker defense wins championships, but their eye test fails the hardest when it comes to strong offenses. And I think that's what's going to happen here with the Kansas City Chiefs. The public is most certainly backing them. They're not on the Titans, but there are some sharps that are also on the Chiefs, much like last week when they took them against the Texans. So that does give me a little bit of trepidations, and this won't be a strong money play for me this weekend. However, in the contest, it most certainly is a Tennessee Titans play. I like the Titans. This is the number to buy too, guys, going forward. 7.5. It moved from 7 to 7.5. So the book is maybe getting a little bit of cold feet, but I don't think it's going to move much more than this, only because I feel like the sharps are just waiting for that avalanche to dump money on the Tennessee Titans. At least that's my forecast as far as the market future goes. I do like the Tennessee Titans here. I do like a small to medium play on them, and I think they're going to be able to keep it close. And I don't know, it feels like the public does love Kansas City, just because when you put on that type of dominant performance, and don't get me wrong, I thought Tennessee played even better than Kansas City did, because they were top to bottom better. I mean, offense was humming on offense. Special teams was decent. And Tennessee, don't forget, their defense played maybe the best strategy to shut down Lamar Jackson you possibly could have. But that gameplay is definitely underpinned by how dominant Kansas City's offense is. Just an appetizing public game the Kansas City Chiefs had against the Houston Texans. So that makes me like the Tennessee Titans all the much more. Give me the Titans and give me the points.
I'll throw another thing on top of that. Tennessee has played two much more difficult opponents in the playoffs compared to Kansas City, would you say? Baltimore
Absolutely.
and New England compared to Houston?
On the road.
On the road as well.
Just an amazing Tennessee Titans performance. To me, it'd be hard to go the other way, but you're going to want to get this one now, guys. Seven almost feels like equilibrium. Maybe 6.5, maybe even 6, but those are, get it now. I think there's some meat on the bone.
Yeah, you're not going to do much better than 7.5.
No.
I think there's tremendous amount of value. I understand why the lines opened at 7.5. I was predicting between 7 and 10. Fat Guy was predicting 6.5.
I was.
It's just too many points in a playoff game like this. 7.5 is a lot of points.
But we're talking over the long term, because don't forget, I mean, anything can happen in a single playoff game. Like, think of this. No one predicted 24-0 for Houston, and then how many, like 31 unanswered points by Kansas City? Just wild stuff happens. So we're talking what the median result is. And I think the median result is a Tennessee cover.
Yeah, 41 unanswered from Kansas City. It's very unlikely, but anything could happen, like I said in the last video. On to the Green Bay at San Fran. That's 3:40 p.m. Pacific time, 6:40 p.m. Eastern time. Green Bay travels to San Francisco. San Fran is 7.5-point favorites. They opened at 7-point favorites. They have 67% of the early public bettors on them. Fat Guy, who you got?
Not only do they have 67% of the public bettors, they also have 72% of the money currently. So that's a little bit worrisome. But I mean, don't forget, there's only 6,468 bets. Or rather, that's on the KC Tennessee game. There's 4,060 bets on this game. So this is the less heralded of the two, apparently, as far as the early betting markets are concerned. That's not necessarily a play on the viewership, but as far as the betting is concerned, Kansas City and Tennessee is a little bit more action on that. I don't really understand this.
I'll jump in to just say, usually games that are earlier will have more bets earlier on them. So that's most likely the discrepancy. They're going to be between 60,000, 70,000 bets on both games. So we're looking at like 5 to 10% of this early market. So there's still 90 to 95% of the market to come in on this game.
I'm forecasting more public money on San Francisco. I mean, some of the early sharps, I'm sure, are on San Francisco, but I do think the play is clear to be a Green Bay Packers play. 7.5, I think this is the line to take. I think the sharps are waiting to dump a whole bunch more money on them when the line, and if the line is able to move. But it can't move too fortuitously. I mean, at 7 points, that's a big difference for me. 6.5, that's huge. I'd rather just have it at 7.5. Take it now. I'll be taking the Green Bay Packers. And going back to those same sentiments about appetizing displays, San Francisco had far more of an appetizing performance than Green Bay did. Green Bay went down to the wire against a very resilient Seahawks team due to the best player in the NFL, I feel, in Russell Wilson. Green Bay Packers, though, they are able to get it done. Their defense got waned a little bit in the in the second half, but that's going to happen if you're chasing Russell Wilson all day. But handicapping stuff aside, the public doesn't like the Green Bay Packers, and I don't think they will be going forward. Green Bay is just thin margins of victory, eking out wins, but I still think there's tremendous value on them. I think they can win this game outright. It doesn't seem unreasonable to me. San Francisco hasn't laid too many duds this year, and I do think it is possible in this scenario. I don't mind Green Bay in this spot. I might be anchoring to them a little bit, considering that was our Super Bowl selection, purely from a value perspective. But I do like the Green Bay Packers in this matchup, and I think 7.5 points is just too much. I feel much like the Kansas City Tennessee game, although I feel more comfortable with the spread in Green Bay San Francisco, whereas Tennessee Kansas City I feel is
more fair.
But I almost feel more polarizing because Kansas City's more apt to cover because they're a quicker scoring team than San Francisco is.
There's higher variance in their scores.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I think this one's going to keep it closer even more often than those, despite Tennessee's tenacity on defense, it seems. Green Bay is showing to have one of the better defenses in the league. And don't forget San Francisco's blustering defensive line as well, considering how well their run game has been. But Green Bay, they're going to fight fire with a good defense. And I think this game is less variance, and it's going to be closer. I mean, they managed to beat the Vikings by 17, but I think that game could have been closer too, considering some gaffes that the Vikings made, particularly a muffed punt. I always like that word, muffed punt. That's what they came up with for the word. It's a made-up word. Same with fumble. You came up with muffed. Anyways, that was Marcus Sherrills, who was newly signed for the playoffs. Correct, Big Ryan?
That was. It was disappointing to see that. They brought him in because he's been one of the best returners over the past few years. A veteran back there, a veteran that can make plays. But the simplest of plays he wasn't able to make, and that wasn't the one play that cost the Vikings, but it sure didn't help.
It didn't help. You can't ever blame things on one play because it's just, I don't know, it's very singular thinking, I think, and not looking at the big picture about how many things could happen in a game. But all of that being said, I think this game should be a lot closer than 7.5 points. I think there's significant value on the Green Bay Packers. So give me the Packers and give me the 7.5 points.
Remember, both of these teams finished the season with 13 wins. Green Bay's getting the wild card treatment. It's like it's a wild card team. It's like they won 9 or 10 games from the public. And they're going to San Fran, who also won 13 games. You could throw in home field advantage, maybe 3.5 points. You can maybe say
at the most,
from a tier perspective, there may be one win better, one team strength better than Green Bay, even
one deviation away.
One deviation, that's a good way of putting it. So that would put them at maybe 4.5. Depends on how much you value home field advantage this season, which was inconsequential.
It's 0.3 points more per game.
On the
at
away
home.
side.
Or on the away side, rather. Yeah, exactly.
I know that San Fran obviously has a home field advantage compared to the rest of the league. I'm going to give them that 3.5 points.
I even think that's generous, considering I think that home field is travel. I think travel has the ease of travel rather has made it a little bit because the Steelers pretty much play
Yeah, the Steelers have a traveling fan base, though.
it's
They're
unbelievable,
different than most teams.
Oh, absolutely, but I still think that the home field is waning. Is definitely a trend that's going down. I think it was magnified this year, and I think it's the away teams overran expectation, but. I'm starting to feel less inclined to draw in for home field advantage. I think that it's overvalued in the marketplace right now. The road team I don't think is as big as of a dog as it was maybe 10 years ago.
Just for some perspective, the away team this year scored on average 22.8 points, whereas the home team scored 22.7. The away team covered on the opening line 151 times, compared to 104 times for the home team. The away close cover, 143 covers compared to 110. So you're looking at something that's hitting at over 60% this year, away covers.
Like I said, I still think that's overrunning expectation. This sample isn't large enough to draw that type of conclusion, but I do think it is at least signifying a trend towards a overvaluing of home field. And again, I'm gonna say that this is one of those spots. I do kind of think Kansas City, Seattle, and Green Bay and Denver fall in those tough home places to play regardless. I think that'll kind of hold steady more because of the atmospheric conditions, let's call it. In particular, Denver. I don't think it'll switch too much, but the fan noise is definitely becoming a little bit different. And I kind of like that favoring the road teams a little bit more, and this is going to be one of them, Green Bay and the points.
That's true. And then from handicapping, even if we put San Fran as a 2.5 point home field advantage and we give them another 1.5 points because let's say they're a little bit better, that still puts the line at 4 points. That's a lot different than 7.5.
A lot different.
You're passing over a couple of key numbers there. So grab Green Bay, especially at 7.5. I think there's a lot of value. 33% of early bettors, 28% of the money right now. So jump on Green Bay while you can. From a market perspective, it is excellent. Fat guy, onto the exciting lightning round where Tennessee travels to Kansas City early Sunday.
I'll be taking Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown, Jarrell Casey, Kevin Byard, Kenny Vaccaro, Wesley Woodyard. How long am I going to go with
and
this?
The ghost of Air McNair.
Ooh. We should play the Dylan Toddfield music. Oh, we have to anyways. As well as Mike Vrabel. Give me the Titans and give me the 7.5 points.
And then Green Bay traveling to the West Coast to take on the San Francisco 49ers.
I'll take Aaron Rodgers, Devonta Adams, Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, David Bakhtiari, Elgton Jenkins, I can't even say that name right, Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, Kevin King, Jair Alexander. How long am I going to keep doing this?
And the ghost of Reggie White.
Packers and the points.
All right, guys, that's it for us. Thank you for watching the NFL Picks Against the Spread video for the AFC and NFC Championship weekend. Lots of value on Tennessee and Green Bay, especially Green Bay. Fat Guy will be live streaming. That's 12:05 p.m. Pacific time, 3:40 p.m. Pacific time for those games, 3 o'clock Eastern and 6:40 p.m. Eastern time, respectively. Fat Guy, any last words?
I kind of like this weekend. I don't love it, but I do like it. Take the dogs, take the points. Standard advice.